Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Karis May, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Major Peter Keaton. We warmly welcome the family of Private Alan Leslie Russell, whose story will be read shortly. We also welcome Mr. Paul Francis, Humpty Foundation and Kokoda Trekkers, fundraising for Australian children in hospital. We welcome all the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony from around Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by family, visitors and students on behalf of Emmanuel Catholic College, Bel Air, Western Australia. To commence this evening's ceremony, I invite you all stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed at the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and other operations for over more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Alan Russell. Alan Leslie Russell was born in 1920 and was one of 4 children of Ernest and Jane Russell of Byingum on the Tweed River in northern New South Wales. His father was a First World War veteran who served in the Middle East with the 15th Light Horse Regiment. After school, Alan worked as a labourer in the Murwillumbah area, first as a farmhand and then as a lorry driver. Alan Russell enlisted in the militia in 1938 and spent 2 years with the 41st Battalion, known as the Byron Scottish Regiment, at nearby Tweed Heads with his father. After discharging, Alan Russell married Rita Norris, who gave birth to a son the following year. Following the outbreak of the Pacific War, Russell re-enlisted in the Army in January 1942. After 5 months of training as an infantryman in Sydney and Dubbo, he embarked for New Guinea with the 55th Battalion. Russell arrived in Port Moresby in May 1942 and was sent to Milne Bay on Papua's east coast to bolster the Australian and American garrison against the threat of Japanese attacks. In September, the battalion moved up to Owens Corner at the start of the Kokoda Trail and patrolled along the Goldie River Valley to deny it as a possible avenue of approach to the Japanese. The 55th Battalion later returned to Port Moresby, where it erected defences around Sapphire Creek. In the following weeks, it was linked with the 53rd Battalion to form the 55th 53rd Battalion. In early December, the 55th 53rd Battalion was flown over the Owen-Stanley Range to Popondetta and Dobadura, where it relieved the 16th Brigade on the Sanananda track. Early on the morning of the 7th of December 1942, platoons of the battalion's B Company made an attack against Japanese positions at Saputa in an effort to divert attention away from the main attack being made against Sanananda. After 2 days of heavy fighting and harassing fire from Japanese snipers, the battalion successfully captured the positions at Saputa and nearby Sanananda. Although a success, the fighting at Saputa came at a cost. The battalion suffered over 130 casualties. Among them was Alan Russell, who was mortally wounded in the head and shoulder. Russell was evacuated to the 2nd 4th Field Ambulance Aid Post, where he died on the 9th of December. Aged 22 at the time of his death, today he is buried at the Port Moresby, Bamana War Cemetery. 10 years after his death, Russell's parents and siblings inserted the following memorial notice in the local newspaper. A smiling face, a heart of gold, the dearest son the world could hold. Deep in our hearts, his memory is kept, too dearly loved to ever forget. Alan Russell's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among some 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Alan Russell, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this evening's last post ceremony. We would like to thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.